Hey, what's up everybody? My name is Mike Toledo. As you may be aware, I'm involved along with other great PDR techs with the nonprofit organization called PDR Nation. I sit down with Ryan Hampton, who is one of the board members. He'll give a lot of insight about what is PDR Nation about and the latest news. For a lot of you, it's important to stay updated, so that's why I'll be introducing these face-to-face Skype calls at least once a month to help you stay briefed. I'm sure you'll find this interview interesting and perhaps you can ask your own questions or even leave a comment below the YouTube video. Now let's get into it. All right, everybody. I've got Ryan Hampton. As you guys may know him already, he's out on Facebook a lot, talking a lot about PDR Nation. Ryan's background is a hail tech and an independent hail coordinator in the storms that hit widespread in the cities and towns. He's recently worked with Dent and right now we'll get into what he's going to be going towards. Right now, I'm not sure if he's going back with Dent Wizard or not, but he's very well known in the PDR community. He has a great stand-up attitude and has a lot of integrity in the business. And we welcome you, Ryan. Thanks a lot. And this is kind of an informal interview. I'm in with the organization PDR Nation as well, but I really wanted everybody to know what PDR Nation is about straight from the horse's mouth, since it really came directly from you. Now, I've known you personally for about a year now, Ryan, and I've seen your commitment to help the industry, and you just wanted to see it more structured, and I totally, that's what really I like that about you. And you came up with some organized plan called being certified. You wanted to really push certification. Well, you, along with others in this organization and me, decided to support this PDR Nation cause. Now, the main reason for this interview was to help get some insight about the cause. You seem like you took the bull by the horns on this and started leading the way with PDR Nation. Obviously, there was something that motivated you to go out there and do this. Now, in your words, Ryan, just kind of explain what off of that.
Well, it's professionalism really is what it all comes down to. I mean, in the last year and a half, I've been on Facebook. It's been my network where I've been talking to people, and you see all these, people complaining about this and that, and you watch it day in and day out, and it's the same things, all the time. Percentage is getting too high. This guy's hacking up cars. This guy's drilling. The things we face all the time, and there's not many guys out there that aren't guilty of doing something at some time. It's the general perception that the rest of the world sees of the PDR industry that they're seeing this too. And we started to think, this wasn't just me. There was other people involved in this at the beginning. But start to see all this, and we're like, time for some professionalism. Really, it wasn't something that was really long and thought out. It just happened, and a group of guys started talking about it, and we said, let's do something. And so we did, and we started this up. And when we first started it, it was really vague. What do we want to do? And we focused on the biggest problems. And, we said, okay, these are our biggest problems. How do we fix it? And everything I just told you, along with, door route guys having prices drop yearly, percentages at body shops going higher and higher, techs getting paid less and less, all the problems combined. The one thing that we thought could hopefully change it all is making yourself more valuable to the consumer, whoever that may be, and certification and making yourself, more professional and more accountable seemed like the common denominator. So that's what we went with. And it kind of just took off pretty quick, really.
Well, in the PDR techs, you mentioned the route PDR techs and the retail PDR techs. I mean, that's what we really want. Besides the hail techs, everybody wants stability. I mean, they want to know that, hey, 10, 15 years from now, are they still going to be doing PDR? And more importantly, are they still going to be doing PDR either at the same prices or higher? I know it can't be the same, because in this PDR market, what I'm afraid of, I look back, I've been in this business 20 years ago. I can look back and guys were still charging, we're still charging $50 a car. I mean, I wasn't, but there's guys $50 a car 10 years ago. You know what the prices are now? $35, $40, $25 a car. That's ridiculous. We're the only business that I know that has such a good trade, and we lower our prices every year. Bend our pants, put our pants over and bend over. I just don't get it. But that's one reason why I joined this cause, and I'm sick of it, And it's because
Yep.
I don't think anybody's taught a bit as a business way and ethics on how to run a business in the first place. And if you don't, you might not think, oh, it's no big deal. I'll do it myself. Nobody will know, but it just trickles and trickles, and that's
Yeah,
what I'm
and
here.
you're absolutely right. Our industry is different because not many industries change price wise and going down all the time. Even body shops, their hourly rate, some complain about it, it's lower in different cities, but it goes up, every year. So you see one shop's $2 an hour higher than the other one, and eventually they all get on board and they go up. In ours, it doesn't. It goes down, and it's going to continue to go down. And you know what? It might continue to go down still after this, but until you show the rest of the industry, the other segments, the body shops, the insurance representatives, the consumers that call the local guys from the yellow pages, until you show them that there's a difference, then it's going to keep going down. You need to set this standard and say, hey, you know what? You want to use that guy, go ahead. But if you use me, this is what you're getting.
Yeah.
That's, you have to develop an industry standard first. And once you do that, then you can hopefully stop that downslide of pricing and quality.
Well, we'll get into that a little bit more too, but that's one of the things you're talking about is the ethics part. We're getting to that part is, there's three things mainly there, and you can elaborate on it: certification, the ethics class, and just elaborate more what else they'd be doing as far as what you're trying to set up with the PDR Nation.
You mean talk about the ethics portion of it?
Just the three. I think there's three areas or three
Right.
goals
There's
you're
three
trying to
areas.
get
The
set
three
with.
areas this certification is basically wrapped around. You've got the visual test, which you come in and you show that you can fix the dent. We've got a process that we're working on right now, and it's going to be awesome, and it's going to show you right away if this guy knows what he's doing or not. Whether you're a hail technician or a route technician, we're going to have two separate tests. You're going to have the route tech that's going to have his creases, his glue pulling dent, and his door dent possibly behind a brace. We're not sure. We're still working on that. It's close. Then you're going to have the hail tech with the glue pulling on the rail, the top panels, some dents under braces. Basically just taking what you do every day and putting it into a small condensed version and saying, show us what you got. And that's the first part of it. The second part is going to be Icar. You talk about Icar. We're going to have a classroom curriculum, and we'll probably get into that in a little bit more. And then you're going to have the ethics portion of it. The problem with ethics, from what I've been getting feedback on, is everybody says, how are you going to prevent a guy from lowballing a deal or doing that? And they need to take their mind away from that for a minute and focus on what we're talking about. We're talking about ethics as it comes to the car. Everything we're doing is about the vehicle in the customer's car. That's what needs to get our attention. Talking about drilling when nobody's looking, don't drill. Corrosion protection. If you remove those, the panel, the glue behind the doors, the panels on the roof, the upper insulating pads, just anything you do on a car, do the right thing. Treat it like it's your mom's car. And we're going to teach that in a really in-depth ethics class, along with some really cool new corrosion protection ideas that Gene Fetty and John Howley are working on. But you take all three of these and you educate these technicians, and you say, even though you've been doing it for 15 years, there's still stuff out there that you can learn, and it's going to help you. And when you get all that together, guy's a lot better off than the guy, than he was before the test.
Well, let me interrupt you there a little bit too. Going back to the part where you said, well, how are you going to stop guys from lowballing? You're never going to stop any of all those. Okay, so let's get that out of the way. But let's tell you, the world's getting smaller in the PDR world. As far as I know, it's like everybody's starting to know everybody. It's going to be harder for you to be, the phantom, drill holer or the guy's lowballing everybody. I mean, you're going to get word of mouth is going to spread fast, especially with, I guess, the new thing that we're going to come up on is the website. But that's down the line. But I just want to let people know that it's not that we don't care about that. I know that, and I know you don't care. You care about that. I mean, that's how it goes down.
Everybody out there, yeah, everybody would love to stop that, but there's nothing that anybody can do to say, okay, we're going to stop this part. You can't. That's the free market. It's always going to be there no matter what you do. All we can do is make ourselves better, more valuable, and accountable.
Well, I always say there's a high market and a low market. Yeah.
Pardon me?
I'm sorry, Ryan. It just cut out and I didn't know you stopped talking. But I was just saying that there's a high market and a low market. And which market do you want to be in? You know?
Right.
But let's get on. I just wanted to get through that. Now, there's been numerous attempts at the PDR industry going in the right direction. Why do you feel PDR Nation is different as it has, or even has a chance compared to other attempts?
Well, there's a lot of different reasons. Three that I can think of. We got the right people, first of all. Timing, with the business growing exponentially every year, more and more guys are training more and more guys. There's enough people out there to actually help with this in every area, regardless of where you are. And the timing of it, you got social networking is huge. There's been other people that have tried this, but now's the time. I mean, you got Twitter, you got Facebook, you got YouTube, you got all these things. You put something out there right now, you get 1,000, 2,000 people to listen to you and help you instantly. Whereas 10 years ago, you're emailing, you're making phone calls. It's timing is huge. And I think with the people we have across the board, we got 14 guys on the board of directors. And, we did that just because they're all over the country. There's some in Australia, one in England. You got the right people involved, different aspects. The marketing guys, the educational guys, the door dingers, the hail guys. You got a broker, you got a tool rep, you got all these different people from different segments helping. And you get the right people at the right time, and that's where we're at.
Great. Well, that's very true, especially with the internet market. I think that's a very good way to do that, and I'm sure people are going to check this out as we get more details on what's going on.
It'll take some time. It'll get there.
Now, I know we've been talking about promotion and certification. You've been talking a lot about that. Now, what separates, you think, Ryan, is going to separate the certified tech compared to another tech making the same amount of money? I probably know the answer to that, but I'm going to let you explain that. And do you think it'll help the integrity of the PDR industry?
Say that again. What is
the certification? Help? I mean, if someone's certified, let's say two guys show up. I mean, they technically, they both make the same amount of money. I don't know if one's better than the other, but one's got a certification process, the other one doesn't. What do you see in the future as that certification pertains to PDR Nation Tech, who's actually got the certification? What do you think is going to benefit?
Certified tech is going to have something behind him. He's going to have the group behind him, backing him up, helping him market himself. He's gonna have his reputation that's going to be verifiable through the website that we're going to have. There's two different things here. Look at the route tech, for example. He's approaching some dealerships or maybe some local insurance representatives, and a certified tech and a non-certified tech both walk into the same places, hand a business card. The difference is there's been 10, 20 other techs do the same thing already. The certified tech has something that nobody else has. He's got a track record that this guy can verify. He doesn't know any of these people. Some he might, but most of them he won't. That's why they're handing a card there in the first place. This guy's got a background. He can read what he's done. He can look at what other people have said about him. He can see his video repairs online. It's accountability. Without that, he's no different than the other guy, really. Now, not saying those other guys aren't worth their weight. Some of them are great techs. Heck, they could be better than the certified tech. But this guy can prove it, and he stands behind it, and he's willing to tell this guy, hey, give me a chance. If you don't like it, leave some feedback for me as well. I'm trying to build up my reputation here and capitalize on it.
How is that going to benefit like the PDR tech? How are they going to promote themselves? Now, is it going to be a website and where somebody can verify and look at? Is there going to be a page for that person's profile? Is that how it's going to be promoted?
Where we're at now, and that's probably the area that we're putting our most attention on right now is when a tech is certified, he leaves our class and he's got this thing saying he's certified. Now what do we do? And we're going to have a video explaining to him that's going to be directed to the technician saying this is exactly what you do. We're going to have materials we give to him, whether it's brochures, QR codes on his business cards he can have, access to his own personal website that's monitored through PDR Nation by all the other certified techs, volunteers on the board that take care of this. And, he's going to be able to send possible customers to that page on that website that says, Mike Toledo, this is who I am. This is what I've done. This is my feedback. That's the whole principle behind this whole thing is accountability.
Great, great. So I mean, that's yeah. To be honest with you, I'm working on that as well. I just want people to know what from your mouth what's going on, and that the website thing is going to be really fantastic. It's going to be very
Yeah,
state of the art too.
and I don't know if I'm really conveying everything. I mean, we talk all the time. I've got so many ideas. You've got ideas. All these other guys have ideas, and there's so much going on that it's just amazing. We're just not completed yet, but when it comes out, it's just going to be awesome. It's just the marketing behind it. You got so many different aspects of this that if you go through this certification and you can fix the dents right and you really care about your quality and your standards, it's gonna benefit you. It really will, and but until it's done, it's hard to put it into words. There's just so much
Yeah.
to try to get into a small interview.
Yep. What do you think the curriculum is going to be about? I mean, what type of dent tests? Are there going to be separate dent tests for different techs like hail rods and retail routes, which I think you kind of mentioned already? And who will be conducting the tests and how will it be judged? Do you think you can give any details, or is just not enough yet?
Yeah, I give you some details on that. We don't want to release too much yet because we want it to be perfect. And I could say the wrong thing here based on where we're at right now.
Yeah.
And then in a month, we come out and people look back in this video and say, well, that's not what he said. What people have to keep in mind is things change. And if anything in this test, or excuse me, the certification process changes at all, it's not to hurt people's feelings. It's not to do anything except to make it better than where we're at. So we've already made some changes, but every change that we make, every step that we take is always in the right direction, and it's for the benefit of the certification and for all the techs. Where we're at currently on the tests, as I mentioned earlier, two different tests, one for route, one for hail. You can take them both. There's no separate charge. It just, actually, we're hoping the charge is going to be so small it's not even going to matter to the techs. But you're going to have the route test. You're going to have a crease. You're going to have, some glue pulling on a side panel, possibly between a gas door lid and the rear door where you can't get a tool at. Things that a dent guy encounters on a daily basis on his route. And the hail tech, same thing. Top panels, maybe some side dents, rail glue pulling. Those are the things that we're going to be testing for the hail tech. A little bit bigger than your average dent, maybe $half size dent, under the brace. So there's definitely going to be two distinct tests.
How long do you think the curriculum is going to be? I know that there's a sign up sheet for people to sign up program for them to get certified. But how long is the whole test you think going to take? I know there's the all those things that you mentioned, but I mean, how long do you think a tech's going to take to do that?
Looking at the test that we have it set up right now, I could see myself walking in there and taking the hail PDR portion of this test and taking my time to do it right. Hour and a half. I mean, and that's just making sure I'm getting it perfect. I mean, this is what we do every day, so there's no reason 3 or 4 dents shouldn't take you a half hour. But we're hoping the dents are a little bit more difficult than the ones you encounter every day. So right now we're hoping to keep it at 2 hours. We're discussing, do we even want to put a time limit on it? Because in the end, it's not about how long it takes you to do a dent. I'd rather have a guy working for me that spends twice as much time as everybody else and gets it right. So not so sure a time frame should be put on it. But I could see an average tech finishing this in 2 hours. And the door route, the door ding route side, maybe a little bit longer because of the creases involved, but 2 to 3 hours max per person on a car.
Okay. All right. And okay, so let's go into Icar. Okay.
Right.
Icar is now involved in creating a PDR course with PDR Nation. Can you elaborate on the PDR Nation Icar courses and what it's gonna involve?
We approached Icar at NACE in New Orleans last year and basically said, listen, we want to get you involved in this too. We want more than just a visual test. We want some educational stuff that you already have in your classes that talks about the cars. And we gave them a curriculum that we liked, everything that we wanted to be in it, and see what they can take from their pre-existing courses and chop them all up into one for us. After talking to them over the last 3 or 4 months, I'm sure they're going to get input from other PDR entities, whether it's dent companies or groups or whoever, maybe even training companies, and get an overall view. I don't see them doing this just for us. I think we were the springboard that got them into it. But when it's done, it's going to talk about as much as possible. We don't know the exacts yet. We got a conference call with them on Monday, actually, 4 people from PDR Nation and 2 from Icar to discuss where they're at and where we see it going. But, I would like to see some airbag education, what you do when you're working around an airbag, corrosion protection, some R&I advice. There's a lot of interior panels that are tricky, and that's part of the problem is taking parts apart when you actually, when you're creating access to get to the dents. So if you were to start a hail car, anything that you encounter along the way, if there's any type of safety or precautionary measures that you can take or need to take rather, and they have information on it already, I'd like to see that put into the class, and that's where they come in.
Wow, yeah. So that's kind of technically a bonus on top of what they're offering just strictly with PDR. I mean, it's not just them. We're obviously implementing a curriculum in there with that, and then they're just going to make it more filled. Now, how long are the classes or the course?
Well, what they're saying now is it's going to be an online class, because once they do take all this information and put it into a new class, you're taking all these pieces that they already have and making this class. It's hard to train a bunch of instructors on that, specialty class. So more than likely it's going to be online.
Okay.
From what they're saying, 4 hours, but I think they said the class can be taken in 2.5 hours. There might be more than one, could be 2 or 3. And, that's what we're working on now. But when it's done, I'd say 2.5 hours per course. And I would guess 2 to 3 of them.
Perfect. Okay. Now let's move on to like the bigger companies, hail companies specifically as of right now. Okay. I see that, in general, that it's becoming a real, shall I say, more of a network thing going on right now. And I think, PDR Nation, it's a perfect time right now because, Dent Wizard uses a lot of independent techs. CSI is now, involved. They seem like over the last couple of years, they've really grown and they're looking for qualified techs and they're growing, and obviously a few other big companies. But do you think they will likely choose PDR Nation certified techs over other PDR techs that they don't know? And obviously I think that question is right out in front of us. Yes, but, I'm sure you can elaborate as well on that.
Well, right now, I have to say, I really don't know. I'm sure they're sitting back watching what we're doing. I've talked to somebody, at quite a few of those bigger companies, and, I don't know for sure, but I would guess that all of the companies that have corporate techs, they're going to want to use their techs because that's one of their marketing tools. They say, you know what, use us. Our techs have gone through this curriculum, and they're the best techs out there. That's one of their marketing platforms. So. But once they reach outside of their tech base, then who are they going to use? They've got their people they've called already, but there's always a time when you're like looking for technicians. Everybody runs into that. And I'd like to think that the PDR Nation, technicians that are certified would start to get a look at that point.
Well,
if we can educate
that's what I'm
somebody.
saying, because sorry, Ryan. I mean, I was at the MTE, and Dent Wizard had a class, about joining, getting on their hail team, and CSIs the same way. I mean, they're technically not just using their own corporate guys. I know they're just using their corporate guys, but like you mentioned, they're always looking for guys on the outside. I mean, if I had a handful of guys and all of a sudden I'm holding the course and 200 guys show up, how am I going to friggin' find out the difference between the two? And besides word of mouth, I mean that's the whole point,
part
right?
Of the problem, part of the reason why I'm not sure exactly, I like to say yes and be confident in that way, but they don't know who we are. They see what we're doing, but we're a bunch of technicians that are doing this. Nobody's going to do it for us. You're not going to have some huge entity out there that says, let's professionalize the PDR industry. So it's just not going to happen, because those are the same people that are beating us up on prices, and that's their job. I get that. They want to make their profit as high as possible, but it's the technicians, the guys that push metal every day like yourself and me, that are actually taking this bull by the horns and making this happen. So, they don't know what to expect from us yet. And until we actually deliver a package, a product that they can look at and understand and get, we can't answer that. But I would really think that once this comes out, I see no reason why a company wouldn't start looking to this this certification and using these guys, by all means.
Yep, and I'm asking honest questions about what a guy would think about watching this interview. And now let's go
Hmm.
into a different side. Besides the hail companies, or let's just say that, yeah, you're right. They don't know who PDR Nation is. They don't know the credibility of it or the techs. But let's just say this thing starts taking off. What about insurance companies? What about body shops? I mean, now let's say the insurance companies get noticed of PDR Nation, and it turns out that's the whole point of doing PDR Nation is to have some structure going on where people can actually count on a little bit of their future. I mean, do
Right.
you think it's going to be that's the main purpose of doing PDR Nation? It's not just saying we're certified techs. That's not what we want glory for. Is that correct?
Well, it's kind of tricky there. I mean, when you're dealing with technicians that are trying to promote themselves as their own company and increase their profit margins, and they're also marketing to body shops to use these technicians, and then you got the insurance companies involved looking at it too, saying, "Hey, let's send this baseball dent on this hood to the local dent guy rather than the body shop first." So now you got body shops that could possibly say, "Well, are they cutting us out of the equation? Well, we don't want nothing to do with your certification," and that's not the case. There's got to be a happy balance or a medium there to where um, you know you want the insurance companies to see it, but they're always going to still count on the body shops at some level because they've got the ability to paint the cars. They've got the brick and mortar building, and the local dent guys have also, but the hail techs don't. So, it's that we don't know. That's
Well,
a guessing,
well, that's the credibility issue thing. That because
right?
the insurance want credibility on somebody that they give the repair to. The body
Right.
shops are ultimately, the person is going to be responsible for that repair, and it should
Right.
trickle down just the same as a PDR tech. I think that's where the difference between why anybody can get in, because technically there's nobody's credit. Your reputation's not on the line. You're not going to be called back, but. I'm just shooting in the dark. I'm just showing some different
No, you're
avenues about
good.
what's going on.
That's the thing here. You don't know. I mean, like I said at the beginning, there's nothing out there. There's some great hail companies out there, and there are some fantastic local dent companies too that just have it down. But the majority of the industry and the perception that the rest of the community gives the PDR industry is ragtag gypsies running and gunning, doing what they can, leaving, not showing up again, and that's what that's what we're trying to fix. We're trying to fix our image and build some accountability for each technician out there. Now, what happens after that? How the insurance companies perceive us, how the body shops perceive us, I don't know. But I know whatever it is, it's going to be better than what it was. And that's, you just got to go through the motions first.
Right. Well, I mean, we're getting some insight, and that's what we're talking about is to help the outsiders, finding out what PDR Nation's about and giving
Right?
some insight. And I'm just throwing some different angles here about the possibilities or what not the possibilities are, and just trying to get it straight from the horse's mouth, because you've been
Right.
pushing this ever since I've known you, and you're very influential, Ryan. And if anybody knows you, you're a passionate, kind guy that just wants things done right and for
Right.
everybody, and that's
Well,
that's what we're here.
predicting what's going to happen down the road is something I wish everybody here wishes they can do. What I can tell you is, if my answers didn't make sense, is you go through this certification process, you leave with the education that you have, you leave with all your materials and your new marketing package that you have. When you go home, whether you're chasing hail and you're starting to hand out cards to body shops at the first storm, you're better off than you were the day before. If you go home as a local tech and you started handing out cards, you're better off than you were the day before. No matter how good you were, you've got more, and you've got a lot of people behind you helping you take it to the even next level. So, what's going to happen after that? It's just going to be better than what it is. It's just hard to say
Well,
exactly.
that's the thing too. You don't, PDR Nation. When I've been talking with you guys and discussing it, it's one thing you just don't want to do is say, "Hey, thanks for the certification. See you later. Here's your cards. Bye."
Right.
We,
Absolutely
we,
not.
we want you to succeed. We want you to get out there and be noticed and be reputable and get out there and create yourself some work and same thing. It's like, hey, look, I've got my credibility here. This is what I'm show. It's not just a piece of paper. There's something behind it. There's a lot of proof. There's a lot of physical things behind what you just achieved, and if you're with a group that cares about the future.
And that's the thing. You've got people that do care. There's people that have there's been naysayers that say, well, this guy's out to get, actually there's some, hidden agenda here, there's a hidden agenda there. You and I both know when this thing started, we brought in people from all different points. Some of the people didn't like each other. And there's a couple people that we asked in just for that reason. We didn't want people in this group forming this that were all friends patting each other on the back. We wanted the guy on the other side, not so much stirring the pot, but saying, I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
We need to think about this. And it stirs, conversation. And you take people from different segments with different points of view, and you get them to finally agree on something, then you're going to have something that's really going to help the industry and not just one part of it or one person or one company.
Ryan, I mean, here's the thing. Where do you see, with or without PDR Nation, this isn't just towards PDR Nation, where do you see, the future of PDR? First of all, where do you see the future of PDR without PDR Nation? Just straight up. I mean, if there was no PDR Nation, we're not. Even if we're in the infancy stage, anyways, and it's not much
Right.
we've done yet lately. I mean, right now, that makes a huge difference. But let's just say there wasn't. What do you think? I have my own
Well,
opinion. What's yours?
I have a strong opinion on that. I think the industry, looking at it from a PDR tech's point of view, not so much the rest of the world, but looking at it from a PDR tech's point of view, it's going down. It's going down. It's you're making less and less money. Your profits are going down. Your overheads getting higher. More insurance is required. There's a lot of things that it's just going down, and it's not just because of what we're doing. It's because of what we talked about earlier. There's more and more people getting trained every year. You got 10 guys that train 10, and then you got 100 that train 100, and the supply and demand kicks in at some point. And when that whole supply and demand pool of technicians is just a ragtag bunch, there's no uniformity at all. It's not going to get any better for you. It's really not. You're going to have people doing car lot cars for $7 a panel. And where's a guy that does high quality work that can fix that Porsche quarter panel that might have needed 8 hours body time and paint? Where's he at? He's not going to want to fix that car for $7. You're going to lose some really good technicians, and it's going to become it's going to be almost like a used car lot mentality in the body shops, and it's just bad. It's not going to end up where we wanted at. It's going to keep going downhill.
No, I agree.
You add PDR Nation to that, and it changes. It automatically changes because now you've got a professional appearance, you've got accountability, you've got technicians that care, that show they care, and they separate themselves from the pack. And the people that want to get the quality work, they know where to find them at. They're not depending on that guy that just worked on that 94 Chrysler for $7 to come over and work on his Porsche quarter panel. People want quality. They don't always want price. And, if we can change that a little bit with PDR Nation, at the beginning, then it can hopefully snowball the other way, at least level it off.
Yeah, yeah. Now, as far as the PDR Nation's goals, just briefly, you don't have to go crazy, but short-term goal, long-term goal. You have any idea?
Short-term goal is to make sure we get it correct. That's where we're at right now. We want to make sure that when we first do this, it's correct. And we don't want to just kind of throw it together and then in 2 years go, man, I wish we had done it like this then. We want to think about where it's going to be in a couple of years and put that process into place right now.
Yeah.
Long-term goal is maintaining what we establish. Once we get these people certified, these technicians, myself, I'm going to go through it, of course. Once we get everybody certified and we start, getting more and more, and we develop this group, this organization of all these technicians out there, we need to make sure that we maintain that and we don't lose focus. We don't say 2 or 3 years down the road, we don't have any more continuing education. We're going to keep, adding different classes. Like I said earlier, everything changes. If we reach the plateau with Icar classes, maybe we start adding something from ASE or ASA or some other entity out there to keep the technicians always abreast of all the new education, the new processes. Who knows where the cars are going to be in 10 years? They're talking about making magnesium hoods on Fords now. You got cars that are going to have more and more aluminum on them in the next few years. So many changes. We have to be prepared to change with them. So, you don't want to, box yourself in a corner with a process and leave it there. You always have to be changing.
Right. Well, That's one thing I want to know, Ryan. And here's another thing. Now I know people want to check out the interest, what's going on. They can find us at PDRNation.org, and what's the Facebook page they can find us at?
It's under PDR Nation Public Group.
Public group. Okay, gotcha.
There's a page also out there. John Hiley does it. I'm pretty sure it's just PDR Nation.
Well,
PDR
things
Nation.
are going to be changing a lot too. As within the next week or two, we're going to have some new content up and things like that. But I really wanted to say thanks a lot, Ryan. I mean, we've been meaning to do this for a while, and at least give people on like kind of like a sense. Besides one video I put out there and a couple other things, but really give them a feel of what we're trying to achieve.
There's a lot going on, and like I said, there's 14 guys working on this. From the newsletters to the ethics groups there's just so much. The visual committees, the Icar committee, there's so many things going on, and I've got my hand in a little bit of everything. And the other guys in the group, Gene Fetty, Stephen Paget, Raymond Sapp, Sal Contreras, Gary Hazing, all these guys. I know I missed some. Those are just ones talking. They put their heart and soul into exactly what they're working on. So me, I kind of not oversee it, but make sure everybody stays in the same direction. So my answers here, they're kind of all over the place.
I have to jump in there. You're right.
An informal interview. If I had questions written down ahead of time that I can read, I'd have a lot more definitive answers. But this is a good thing for our industry, and just give it some time. And when it comes out, I think everybody's going to be happy about it, and it's going to help. It really is.
It's crazy because at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm getting a Voxer from John Speller in Australia, talking about his ideas and what he's doing and what he's gotten done, and everybody's just throwing their ideas on things, and people don't really realize how much effort it's going into this thing. Everybody's talking and spitting their ideas and doing it. Not just ideas; it's actually being achieved. It's actually. I'd love to sit there and tell everybody about exactly what we're trying to do, but we don't want to put our, shall I say, or count our chickens before they hatch. So
exactly, and then things change, like we said. So until it's done, it's a process, and you've got 14 people on the board, 4 on the committee or on the board, and 8 more or 10 more on the advisory roles. But you've got 14 people meeting twice a week for 1 hour, and then every meeting turns into 2 hours.
It does. Not an hour.
And then you start out going, all right, I'm not going to do 2 hours tonight. I'm going to limit it. And then you're 2 hours and 15 minutes into this meeting, and you've accomplished so much. And then you've got the talking between me and Raymond and Sal and Gary and Tony and Dave. And then they bring it all back to the meeting. It's amazing how much you can accomplish, and also how much things can change too.
Yeah.
That many people that really care so much about it.
Well, good, Ryan. I don't want to keep these people too long, but we're going to do another catch-up segment in probably about a month or two and give another update on things. Perhaps bring in somebody else like Sal or Gene or one of the other guys, and we can sit there and have a little conference, and people can sit in on it. So,
and I want to say one thing. When you started off, you said you took the bull by the horns here. Raymond Sapp, I want to say his name. He was a huge part of this at the beginning. It wasn't just me. Raymond and I had been talking off and on, and we tried some other things first, but Raymond and I did this together. It wasn't just myself that started this out. Raymond, he's so smart. He's too smart sometimes, but he is the guy that brought the whole thing together at the beginning. So Raymond deserves a lot of credit for this too. I just wanted to say that.
He is a great guy. He's a super good guy. I met him at MTE in person, and finally get good to put a face with the name. So Ryan, well, thanks a lot. Thanks to everybody out there who's actually contributing, and thanks for everybody for watching. I know this is a little bit of a little interview, but you can go to pdrnation.org and check out more information there, and you can go to Facebook, and we'll have some more videos as well. So thanks everybody for watching. Thanks Ryan Hampton for your time.
One more thing, we are a nonprofit group, so
nonprofit. You got it.
Yep.
Take care, Ryan.